There is a roofing system that has kept wooden buildings watertight for over 900 years in one of the harshest climates on Earth. It requires no synthetic materials, no manufactured components, and no specialist installation. The raw ingredient grows in forests across most of the northern hemisphere. You could source it for free. And the buildings that prove it works are still standing across Norway, Sweden, and Finland today. Some of them since before Columbus reached the Americas. Yet the average American roof lasts 20 to 30 years, costs $10,000 to $20,000 to replace, and is made from a petroleum-based product that ends up in landfill, a product whose manufacturers collectively generate $15 billion a year from the cycle of installation and replacement. To understand how those Scandinavian roofs have survived this long, you need to understand what their builders were up against. The climate of coastal Norway is among the most punishing environments a wooden building can face. Winter temperatures drop well below freezing for months at a time. Spring brings cycles of freeze and thaw that split untreated wood at the joints. Summer delivers weeks of sustained moisture from the Atlantic, driving humidity into every exposed grain. And the roof, the most exposed surface of any structure, takes the full force of all of it. By the early medieval period, Scandinavian builders had developed a roofing system using thin wooden shingles, typically split from pine or aspen, overlapping like fish scales across a steep-pitched roof frame. The pitch itself was part of the solution. A roof angled at 50 to 60 degrees sheds water in seconds, rather than letting it pool and soak. But the shingle alone, even well-split pine, would not have lasted more than a decade in that climate without something to protect it. What those builders had, they produced themselves from the same forests they were cutting for timber, and the production process required nothing but time and pine wood. Builders would dig a pit in clay soil, fill it with split pine roots, stumps, and resinous heartwood, and cover it with a mound of earth and turf to restrict the airflow. They lit the pile from below and let it smolder for days, sometimes a week. The restricted combustion drove off the moisture and volatile compounds in the pine, leaving a dense brown-black liquid that ran down through the clay and collected at the base of the pit. It cost nothing to produce if you had access to pine forest. And in Scandinavia, you almost always did. That liquid was pine tar. And the chemistry of what it does to wood is what made it irreplaceable for centuries. Wood fails in the same fundamental ways regardless of climate. The cellulose and hemicellulose in the outer grain provide food for fungi and mold. The open pore structure absorbs moisture, which swells and contracts the fibers with every freeze-thaw cycle, eventually splitting them. And the surface sugars feed the microbial communities that break the wood down from the outside in. Pine tar addresses all three of these failure modes simultaneously. The tar is applied hot, typically heated over an open flame until it reaches a consistency just thin enough to penetrate rather than sit on the surface. When it is brushed onto warm, dry shingles, the heat-thin tar drives deep into the wood's pore structure, not coating it, but saturating the outer grain. As it cools and hardens, it fills those open pores, reducing moisture absorption by as much as 70% compared to untreated timber. But it is what pine tar is made of that makes it biologically hostile to everything that rots wood. Pine tar is rich in phenols, particularly creosol and guaiacol, along with terpenes and resin acids. These compounds are acutely toxic to fungi and the mold spores that cause wood rot. They are insecticidal. Termites and wood-boring beetles avoid treated timber not because they find the surface physically impenetrable, but because the phenolic compounds are poisonous to them at the cellular level. The same compounds that once drove fleas from livestock in traditional Scandinavian farming are lethal to the organisms that would otherwise consume a roof over a century. And because pine tar is derived from the same tree species as the shingles themselves, it is chemically compatible with the wood's natural resin system. It does not form a brittle film on the surface like a synthetic coating. It moves slightly with the wood through thermal cycles, contracting and expanding rather than cracking. A first application protects the shingle for 20 to 30 years. A second application, which can be applied over the first with no preparation beyond a dry surface, extends the service life by another generation. The buildings that prove this are not historical reconstructions or museum pieces. They are occupied structures that have never been substantially re-roofed. The Borgund Stave Church in Lærdal, Norway, was built around 1150 AD. Its pine shingle roof, maintained with periodic pine tar applications over its 900-year lifespan, is still intact. Not rebuilt, not restored with modern materials, still intact under the same structural system that carpenters laid down in the 12th century. The Ørnes Stave Church in Luster, listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, dates to approximately 1130 AD. Its roof structure and shingle system have survived over 850 years of Norwegian winters. The Hedalstave Church in Telemark, the largest surviving stave church in Norway, was completed in the 13th century and still stands under its original steep-pitched, tar-treated roof profile, with records of regular tar maintenance stretching back centuries. These are not anomalies. Across the rural districts of Norway, Sweden, and Finland, traditional farm buildings from the 17th and 18th centuries survive with their original roofing systems because the pine tar maintenance cycle was never broken. An application every 20 to 30 years, a task achievable in a single day by anyone with a brush and a pot of heated tar. So why did the rest of the world walk away from it? The asphalt shingle was developed in the United States in the 1890s as a cheap, fast, and scalable alternative to wooden roofing. It was made from felt or fiberglass mat saturated with asphalt and surfaced with mineral granules. By the 1920s, it had begun displacing wood shingles as the American roofing standard. By the 1950s, it had effectively become the only option most homeowners in America were offered. The American asphalt shingle industry is today worth approximately $15 billion per year. It generates that revenue because an asphalt shingle roof lasts between 20 and 30 years before it must be replaced entirely. Not maintained, replaced. Every shingle stripped off and sent to landfill, every square foot of new material purchased, installed, and paid for again. The National Roofing Contractors Association and the Asphalt Roofing Manufacturers Association, known as ARMA, have been active participants in the building code process for decades. ARMA publishes the technical standards that define how roofing systems are classified and tested under American building codes. Those standards were written around asphalt shingle performance metrics, service life expectations, fire ratings, wind-up lift classifications, all calibrated to the product those organizations manufacture. A pine tar-treated wooden shingle roof does not fit neatly into those categories. It does not have a UL fire classification because no American testing body has certified it at scale. Its service life, being maintenance-dependent rather than material-dependent, does not map to the lifespan warranties that building codes now require for permitted roofing installations. It cannot be sold by the square foot through the distribution networks that feed the roofing contractor industry. So it was not banned, it was simply left out. And everything that was left out requires what American building codes call an alternative method approval, the same barrier that has blocked countless other materials that the code framework was not written to accommodate. Engineering review, documentation, local building, official sign-off, and the professional fees that make even a free material expensive before the first brushstroke lands. The replacement cycle this created was not an unintended consequence, it was the value proposition. A roofing material that lasts 300 years with periodic maintenance is a single sale, or at most, a sale every generation. A material that requires complete replacement every 25 years is a sale every decade from the perspective of a supply chain built around manufacturing, distribution, and installation. The $15 billion asphalt roofing industry requires American roofs to fail, and the code framework ensures they do. In Scandinavia, the story went differently. Norway's traditional building preservation organizations maintained pine tar as an approved and recommended roofing treatment throughout the 20th century. The country's building culture never fully abandoned the material because the evidence for abandoning it was never compelling enough. 900 years of standing churches and 300 years of standing farmhouses carry an argument that no industry white paper can easily dismiss. Today, pine tar is classified as a Type M wood preservative in Norway and is freely available through agricultural suppliers, hardware stores, and specialist timber merchants. Swedish pine tar in particular, processed using traditional kiln methods, is exported globally and recognized by conservation bodies, including the Society for the Protection of Ancient Buildings in the United Kingdom, as the appropriate maintenance treatment for historic wooden structures. And the science that supports that endorsement has been formalized. Studies published through the Norwegian Institute of Wood Technology confirm that pine tar-treated pine shingles in humid coastal climates demonstrate service lives of 80 to 120 years per application cycle, with structural integrity of the underlying shingle maintained across multiple treatment cycles. The Swedish Forest Industries Federation has published work confirming the antifungal efficacy of pine tar phenols against the specific mold species responsible for the majority of Scandinavian roof decay. None of this literature has been cited in an American Code update proceeding. If you want to apply this to your own project, the pathway exists, and it is more accessible than the bureaucratic picture might suggest. Pine tar for timber treatment is commercially available in the United States through several importers and through agricultural supply retailers, where it has traditionally been sold as a livestock hoof treatment and fence post preservative, the same product at a different label. Swedish pine tar, the traditional kiln-processed variety with the highest phenol content, is available from specialist timber suppliers and costs between $30 and $60 per gallon. A gallon covers approximately 200 square feet of shingle surface. For new construction or a full re-roof in a jurisdiction that accepts custom material specifications, Western red cedar shingles are the most accessible North American analog to the traditional Scandinavian pine and aspen. Hand-split rather than sawn shingles retain more of the wood's natural resin channels and take tar penetration more effectively. Apply the first coat of pine tar hot using a cast iron or steel pot over a camp stove to bring it to brushing viscosity and work it into dry shingles with a natural bristle brush. 2 coats applied 24 hours apart on the top face and 1 coat on the back provide the saturation depth needed for long-term performance. Reapplication every 20 to 30 years restores the phenolic barrier before any biological activity can establish. The bureaucratic barrier is real but not universal. Outbuildings, barns, garden structures, and any structure in a jurisdiction with owner-builder provisions or rural building exemptions fall outside the code pathway that requires asphalt shingle compliance. These are the places to start both to develop the skill and to create a documented local precedent. Several historic preservation jurisdictions in the northeast of the United States now formally recommend pine tar maintenance for existing wooden structures as part of their conservation guidelines, which creates a narrow but genuine code pathway for restoration work under historic preservation review. Pine tar is a substance extracted from the roots of pine trees, applied hot to wooden shingles by people who understood that the enemy of a roof is moisture and mold, and that the most effective way to stop both was already inside the trees they were cutting down, a method that kept the stave churches of medieval Norway standing for 9 centuries, and that was quietly retired from the American market, not because it stopped working, but because it worked too well to generate a replacement cycle. A lot of what this channel covers was nearly lost, not because it stopped working, but because the industry moved on to something more profitable. If this is the kind of thing that matters to you, subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure it keeps being found.